remember about the relatives in Germany, or what you heard?
Well, outside of Henry and his Sunday go to meeting outfit, which was his army uniform, that was about the most of them that I knew about them. I didn't know that much about
Henry
them.
was the oldest son of John and Elizabeth. What was Shaw? Yeah. Okay.
No, Henry was wasn't there Henry and Dad's brother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was.
That's the one I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Okay. Yeah.
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 That's
Yeah.
the one I'm talking
Okay.
about. And they were, that was about the only one that I did hear anything about. I remember when Grandpa and Grandma died fairly close to each other. And Dad got this letter with the black border on. In those days, that was the way you got your mail for death.
Death notices? Or,
Death
okay.
notices had a black border around the envelope.
Oh, okay.
And that I remember how sad he was when he got that. But I don't remember whether it was his mother or his dad that particular letter was about.
Do you
And
rough idea what year that was?
no, I don't know what year it was.
Okay. We can find that out because we've got some births and deaths.
But outside of that, I don't really know much about the family.
You don't know much about Maria or
I
Frank?
remember when Rich Schelling died, he was killed in a motorcycle accident, I think.
Who was that now?
Rich Schelling, that's one of Bob? Who's Rich Schelling? Francis's?
That's
Or Gertrude's?
Gertrude.
Gertrude.
Ruth Schilling.
Gertrude
Her
Brentrup.
husband, yeah.
Son.
No, he's her husband.
This was
Oh, her husband. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Grandpa's sister Gertrude.
Okay.
Grandpa's sister Gertrude.
Okay.
And I remember when that happened. But like I said, there wasn't that much said about any of the relatives. Dad always said he could go back and find everything in the kitchen just exactly the way it was when he...
Is that right when he left?
I don't think he did.
Yeah.
When he went back in 48. But that was about the ball I knew of.
Okay. So what we do know is that there was 6 children. John, our grandfather, your dad, was there were 6 children in the family, 3 boys and 3 girls.
Yeah.
And the girls were Maria, Frances, and Gertrude. And the boys were Henry, John, and Hubert.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. And then what do you know about Wiedenbrook and West? It's either Westfalen or Westphalia County or whatever it is that.
Westfalen was the way that Dad used to pronounce it. But his home was Jägerheim, which is Hunter's home, which was on the edge of a forest. And the hunters used to come there for breakfast, then go out and hunt, and then come back and have their supper and their drinks and that. And that it wasn't in town; it was on the edge of the forest.
Okay.
And but outside of that,
it was a beer garden.
It was a beer garden.
They lived at the beer garden. Right?
They lived in the beer garden, and one of young Herman's family still runs the Jägerheim.
One of the Hartmans, which.
One of the Hartmans,
which
yes.
would be what, Maria's or France? Maria's one of. Okay, all right. Boy, that would be nice to get over there
That was what Herman told me.
Okay.
Last Christmas. So
Okay.
anyway, outside of that, I don't know too much about it. But it was a eating place and a bar or whatever. And
Guest house.
yeah, and they had rooms, I think, and so forth. Kind of like a hotel or something like that.
I think that's what they call guest house.
Yeah, Zimmer Fry is a guest house where you can get a bed and a meal.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay. So now that's as much as you know about Germany.
Yeah.
And, okay. And
Outside of the fact that, now they saying that Brentrup is not German. The name Brentrup is not German. It's,
Dutch?
Netherlands.
Another one? Okay.
And when, years ago, Germany took part of Netherlands away in a war. And that's how come Brentrups are said to be German, but their name is not German.
Okay.
That's outside.
That'll be interesting to look up the history of that, or
Yeah.
to do that. Now then, Grandpa being the, now it was understood that Henry was going to, or Heinrich was going to take over the beer garden. It was the oldest son inherited the business. Is that your understanding too?
I don't know anything about it.
Okay.
Dad never, I know that he never got anything from the family when his folks died.
Okay.
He was supposed to had gotten something from an aunt that lived in this country. But we've never heard, nobody ever heard about it.
Okay.
So that wasn't.
So then, Grandpa, when we're talking about Grandpa, we're talking your dad.
Yeah.
You know. He came here, he was, what, 16 years old?
So 15 or 16.
Okay. And what was the reason he came over?
Well, as near as I know, is he came over because there were two of them. There was him and another fellow, and they came over. Dad had linen sheets with him, that homespun linen sheets and that kind of stuff. And they came over so that he wouldn't have to go into the army. That was my understanding. Now, I don't know whether that's so or not, but that's...
Okay. Now, what year would that put us? About
He came
1906?
Oh, no. Well, what year did he come over?
If he was born in 1886, he
The
would
year
be...
listed on here said he came in 1903.
1903, okay. Okay.
And then he came to New York. I think they had a World's Fair that year.
Now then, but, okay.
And then he came to Minnesota. Now, I don't know whether he worked first with a family friend who was, I can't think of his name now. And then he worked around Lake Minnetonka for a long time. And that was when he taught himself English and writing and everything else.
Lake Minnetonka is in
Minnesota.
Okay. Okay.
Right around Minneapolis there. And of course, we're I can't think of his name. Wish I could.
The guy that he came over here with.
No, the guy he came over here with was, that's disappeared too.
Minstermeyer was it?
No, Minsterman's the one that brought the statue.
Okay, all right. We'll figure out.
Yeah.
Mom mentioned that this morning. She knew the guy's name that he came over with, but she had to think about it too. So anyway, they were friends. Now, did the two of them then, after the World's Fair in New York, come to Minnesota together?
Evidently, they were together for quite a while, is the way I understood it. Gertrude used to write to this guy that came over from with Dad, and he lived in Canada later on, in later years.
Okay.
But I'll have to, somewhere along the line, I know I've got his name written down, but I don't know where. But anyhow, that was where this outfit, this people that Dad stayed with when he first came over, they lived close to where Grandpa and Grandma Kirchen lived.
Okay.
And that's how they met.
Okay. Let me back up just a little bit. When Grandpa came here, did he come in through Ellis Island? Do you know? Did he come in through any of the ports, or did he come here just as a tourist?
That I don't I couldn't
Okay.
tell you.
Okay.
You know
No.
what, Rick, you can go on the internet now. and find it.
Yeah, that's,
But I'm just
I know that
thinking
they were loading that
Yeah.
stuff, so we can,
It's
we
done,
can
I
find it.
heard the other day.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, but I heard, the first story I heard is that he came over here as a tourist, came to the World's Fair, and then went to Minnesota and never went back. You know, loved it and never went back. Now, and then I heard that he got here in time and went to the St. Louis World's Fair. So we'll have to look back in history. There may have been a New York World's Fair in 1903, and so the St. Louis one was in 1906.
Yeah, well,
So he may have been to the New York one, but if he came in through Ellis Island, that would be good information to know. We could go back and find that. Or if he came in through the Philadelphia Harbor, or if he came in through Galveston.
You know, I don't know, I think he came over as a tourist, but I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
That I don't know.
All right. So then we're back now in Minnesota. He worked at Lake Minnetonka, and
Yeah.
and that was close to where he met Grandma.
No, he met Grandma at she lived at near Bird Island in Franklin, Minnesota.
Okay.
That was where she went to school in Bird Island. Mother went to school at sister school in Bird Island. So
Sister
that was some place there where they were. That's where she was raised. You know.
Okay.
And then they came to North Dakota in.
So they met in Bird Island or
Yeah.
somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
Now, was Grandpa working there in Bird Island? I wish I had a map of Minnesota so we could find, you know, see. Well, are the two of them pretty close together, Bird Island
Yeah.
and Lake Minnetonka? So it's got to be
No,
close.
Lake Minnetonka is in Minneapolis. It's about 100 miles, I think.
Oh, okay.
From
Bird Island is along the Minnesota River somewhere, and it's out
here.
to the south. And, yeah.
You got it shut off or
So
you
they're,
got it running?
It's still going.
Still going, yeah.
Yeah.
You just let it run
Yep.
for every little bit of information is just
That's right.
worth its weight in gold. So Grandpa had to have been then around Bird Island and somewhere where he met Grandma.
Yeah.
What, do you know what kind of work he was doing then and what
Well,
Grandma
he
was
helped.
doing? or-
He helped. Yeah, wish I had Bob. Get that one. No, not that one. The album down there,
Which one, Dave?
the blue with the green on. Not that one.
There's a green one, a black one, there's a multicolored purple.
No. The black. The one underneath the green one there, I think.
Black one.
Okay.
It's there. This one should have the picture in it,
Bird Island one, listed on this map. But,
if I can find it.
Minnesota River, you can figure out where that's at. That's down. Yeah, they were north of New Ulm. So they're out.
That's a familiar name.
Yeah, New
No.
Ulm is
New Ulm
down
is
here.
pretty
This
So
familiar.
they're up in this area somewhere, so
This is
they're,
Okay, so they're close to Minneapolis.
by
This is
today's
the one.
standards.
I can't think of that name though, it makes me mad. I'll have to give it to you later on.
Name of, what now?
The people that Dad worked for when he
Oh,
first came
okay.
here. And I'll have to get that to you some other
Okay.
time.
All right.
I remember hearing a story when I was younger about Grandpa breaking his leg and that being one of the reasons, a prolonged recovery here. And that might have been part of the reason that he stayed and
For not going back.
for not going back to Germany.
See, now, what I heard is he had a one-way ticket. So,
I think that
yeah, and
that sounds
I've heard, I think
more-
Grace is the one that told me that he had a one-way ticket. But he, you know, I mean, he was to the point where I think if he could have rode home and gotten money enough to get back if he wanted to get back. But I think he came over here with the intention of staying, if he liked it or something. So that was the deal. Anyway, okay, now we're at the point where Grandma and Grandpa meet. What do you know about that? I mean, anything else?
That was not very much said about that, because I don't know. It was shortly after that, I think, that in that first time, between 3 and 10, that Mother moved to Garrison.
Okay.
Mother's family moved to Garrison.
Now, did she move with them?
She moved with them.
Okay. And then they weren't married at the time then. I mean, they
Oh
weren't-
no, this was
okay.
she worked in the news office. She was a typesetter in the news,
I'll be
in
there.
Garrison.
In Garrison, okay.
In Garrison, yeah.
That's how printing gets in the blood.
There you go, yes. That's right.
And
Now,
when she got glasses, Dad almost gave up marrying her.
Oh,
He
really?
couldn't stand the idea of something false.
oh, Lord. Now, did she work or do anything at Bird Island? When they were
Well, she
living there?
homesteaded.
Oh, they were homesteading there.
No, Mother homesteaded, Aunt Mary homesteaded, Uncle Mike homesteaded, and
At Bird Island?
at Garrison.
Oh, at Garrison, okay.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Bird Island.
Oh,
Well, she may have been too young to be, she didn't have a job there or anything, did she?
no, I think they were just probably out of school, just
Okay,
out
okay.
of school.
And then at that point, then they moved to Garrison, okay. And so that each one of the children homesteaded some property then, huh?
Well, now
That's-
I know that Uncle Mike homesteaded, and Aunt Barb homesteaded, and Mother homesteaded, and they all did that, and I think Uncle Mike helped get the thing started.
Is
So that
Aunt
he
Barbara
could buy,
married
so that he
anyone?
could buy the land from them later on, see?
Sure, now that makes
So that he'd
sense.
have the, and I don't remember whether it was somebody else, whether one of the other boys, there was a big family, and the mother had 14 brothers and sisters, or 13 brothers and sisters, there were 14
Wow.
in the family.
And she was one of the younger ones, though, wasn't she?
She was younger. Aunt Barb and Aunt Mary were older. And then there were all boys between them down to Mother, and then I think there were one or two younger than Mother. I know that Augie was younger than Mother,
Okay.
but that's the only one that I know that was younger.
Okay.
And
So they moved back there, homesteaded. How did John or Grandpa and Grandma get together?
well, then I think they must have been riding back and forth all this while,
Okay.
because they weren't. And then when they got married, why, when he was going up to get married, the old people had the Midway hotel, which was oh, I'm ashamed of myself. I can't remember names.
Well, it's all right. We can fill that in. Now, you mean he was already out here homesteading then? He was not.
He was already homesteading.
Okay. Let's. Okay. So he left.
He had left there and came out here and homesteaded.
Well, Grandma went back to Garrison.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. So he was out here.
he was out here homesteading.
He
and that's-
homesteaded it all by himself the first year then, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now,
I don't know what year he proved up on his
Okay.
homesteading.
Was it-
That
took 3 years, I think, to prove up.
I think
Five?
it only
Okay.
took one.
Oh, 1 year? Okay.
Prove up, okay, but
To prove, it depended on how much you got done. You had to have a certain amount of building on the
Right.
place
Right.
in order to prove up.
Yeah.
And then you had to improve on that every year.
Yeah, you had to, that, and I don't, my understanding is that it was more important to put a well in than it was a dwelling. It was more important to break the sod than it was to build a house. So, and that's the reason why, that's the reason why he lived in the cave. He had a dugout basically in the side of the hill by the creek that first year because he had something else that was more important to get done. And then anyway, you're telling the story. So,
Well, you
but
probably know more about it than
yeah, I
me.
mean, it seemed to me that, that they put the cart before the horse there, I mean, it was, the first thing you do is build a house so that you got shelter for crying out loud, and then go dig your well, but for some reason, it was important to get that well dug and find water or something.
I know
and,
that when he dug the first well, he broke his leg in 2 places.
oh, hell.
And that was down by the garden,
Uh-huh.
down below the hill there,
Mhm.
from the house.
Yeah, because Dad said, and matter of fact, in later years, that well Grandma used for the garden.
She might have, I don't
Because,
know,
yeah.
because I was gone for,
Because Dad mentioned something about that too. He dug it real close to the creek, so that he hit water real shallow. Because the higher you go up on the hill to dig the well, the more he was gonna have to dig.
Well,
So
the well on, up at the, where the well was, where the windmill was, that was only 60 foot deep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, that's.
Does this sound right, Stella? It says on this information that Grace had that he homesteaded in 1907 in Slope County.
That could be.
1907, that sounds like the right date.
They weren't, he wasn't married
Southeast quarter of
until,
section 3.
he wasn't married until 1910 though.
Okay, yeah, okay.
All right.
And then, okay, now, how did he get out here from Minnesota?
That I don't know.
Okay.
He came by train, I believe, to Bowman
Okay,
because he,
but the county seat was in Medora,
yeah,
and then that was later split up. Darn it, I don't.
he Golden Valley and Slope County,
And like Grant County or something?
something like.
Though there was one area that was later split up
Yeah.
Yeah.
into 3 counties.
Medora's Billings County.
Medora's.
Okay, so Billings County had to be in it because,
Right.
Village,
because
yeah.
I think Grace told me that Grandpa had to go to Medora to get his claim, or his assignment.
No,
His-
when he got to be a citizen,
Oh, okay.
he had to go to Medora to
Mhm.
to take that
Okay.
test.
Okay,
Golden Valley County is Gulliver, so that.
Yeah,
might have
that's,
been in
that's
there.
further,
Okay.
even further west.
yeah, that is.
Right.
Because I know they split up, because all of the records of Grandpa homesteading were supposedly, and I think this is Grace told me that, in Medora. And then when the county split up, some of that information got shipped to Slope County, because they ended up in Slope County, and some did not. So she said your chances of finding the ledger book where his quarter section of land was given to him is slim to none, she said, basically, because some of the records, and I guess the courthouse in Amadon burned down at one time, taking a lot of records with it, so and that's what I was trying to see if I could find, some of that, and
Well,
Can you find it on the?
you might find it
I-
in Medora,
yeah, that might be,
because now that was where he had to go to get his citizenship papers, so it might be there. Now, I also have the Wilford's mother and dad's deal signed by the presidents.
the,
Their homestead deeds.
is that right?
Yeah.
Wow,
Mhm.
that's, yeah.
And, but I don't have any of the dad, I don't know whether your dad's got some up there in those deals one of those old book-shaped deals
Uh-huh.
might have some of that stuff
Where
in.
would he have that?
Down in his office.
In his den there? Okay.
They had a kind of a latch on them, and they looked like a book, like a big book.
Okay.
And there's a
There
latch.
used to be what they called a file at one time.
They had a latch on them like a
Okay.
snap deal or something.
Okay.
And there, a lot of Dad's papers were in those, so these
Were they
might be-
orange color by any chance? Was that?
Yeah, it's kind of on
Okay,
orange color.
I remember seeing those as a kid. He's got them in
Yeah.
a drawer in his desk somewhere. Okay,
Either
good.
that or he's got them stacked up above.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
never paid any attention in
Okay.
particular, but
Boy, that's good to know
You
that.
might find this stuff in there.
Yeah,
you might find a lot of information in those.
okay, good. That's
Because
good.
that was where he had a lot of his
Okay.
stuff in. And, but what else, I don't.
Okay. So he came out here possibly by train. He didn't come out by covered wagon or anything like that, or ox
No,
cart
they
or-
came, from there they came by team to, I don't
The
know.
homestead. They either came into Bowman or came into
No, I'm sure
Medora.
he came into Bowman.
To Bowman, okay.
I'm sure he
Okay,
came
Not
into
even a
Bowman.
Bowman, he came in on the
Chicago, Milwaukee, or
Milwaukee.
yeah,
Yeah.
he had to come down through Minneapolis down to
right.
Aberdeen and Mobridge, and okay, all right,
And, then they came by team from Bowman
okay.
up. And for years, we could still see the trail where they used to come from Bowman to Dickinson.
I'll be darned.
The ruts in the ground you could see them.
Came right past the homestead.
Well, they were on what that next lot over from where we had pasture, or where we herded sheep and stuff.
West of the place? West
West
the
of the
homestead?
place, after the
Well,
old
about where
road.
Highway 85 goes through now.
Well, old 85 went through right at the top of the hill there.
Huh?
And then that, in the next section was where these trails were.
So that would be between the homestead and Highway 85
Yeah.
now, roughly. Okay, all right, that'd be interesting to go
Mhm.
see that. So, okay, so now, he homesteaded this, and we can find those dates if we can find the information, so it's roughly 1903.
No,
And he-
1907 when he
1907.
homesteaded.
Homestead, yeah.
Oh, homestead, oh,
1903,
okay.
came to America
He came
in
over in
1907,
three.
he homesteaded
I came in
somewhere.
1903, okay, so he homesteaded 1906, so he was out there for 4 years before he got married. Is that correct? He got married in 1910?
He got
So if
married
he
in
filed his
1910.
claim, now Dad mentioned something about Grandpa coming out the first year, doing some sort of improvements, and then going back and spent the winter back east, which would be
Yeah.
Fargo or
Right.
Bismarck or whatever it is. He
Probably
did not
another-
spend the first year out there, but do you know anything about that? Do you know, okay. So.
He never talked much about it. That is, see, the older kids knew, and he talked about it
Mhm.
with them, but
Mhm.
by the time I came along,
Mhm.
and Ralph and Valerie, well, we didn't hear too much.
It was old hash by then,
Yeah.
yeah, so he didn't, yeah.
And the kids didn't want to hear it
Yeah.
anymore.
Grace, it was either Grace or Dad that mentioned something about when Grandpa, when he rode out, once he got his parcel of land, he either borrowed or rented a horse and rode out to the place to take a look at it. And he was really impressed with it because he said the grass was so high that you could fall off your horse and not get hurt, you know. And I think Grace told me that, and I think
They
Dad.
said that the grass was like this.
Yeah, it was belly high to the horse, he
Yeah.
said, and it was just, he said, it's gotta be good land, you know, so. And it turned out it wasn't such good land. I mean, it was good for cattle, but it wasn't very good farmland, but, okay, that's, so anyway, we're learning here as far as in 1906 to he got married in 1910, so there's 4 years in there. So, and my understanding is that Grandma and Grandpa spent their first winter in that cave. Do you know, is that
No,
a
I
fact?
don't know anything about
Okay,
that.
okay,
Never,
or the dugout, they called it.
Yeah.
I think Grace referred to it as a dugout, and Dad referred to it as a dugout. And right now, from the top of the hill, there's a little divot there. That's all you can see that was there, was right in the the little creek there, just below where the house is now,
Yeah,
and to the kind of
Yeah.
northeast of there. And Dad pointed it out, and then when we looked at the film on TV, I stopped it, and he pointed to the spots. I want to make sure that I had an idea
Yeah.
of it. So, and I know Richard Miller, the guy that owns the place
Yeah.
now. So one of these days, I'm going to go out there and talk to him and kind of wander around out there. But so, 1910, they got
they were
married.
married in September the
We got
6th.
September
around that.
6th, Tuesday, yeah, we've got a copy of
Okay,
the,
good.
of the wedding,
September 6th,
Announcement.
1910.
1910,
Yeah.
All right.
in Garrison.
September 6th.
And they got married in Garrison. Okay.
Yeah, they got married in Garrison.
Yeah, it says at home after October 1st, Midway, North Dakota.
Oh, we are. That is fantastic.
See how that?
Great. Okay, now, 1910. Tell me what you know from 1910 forward.
Well, I don't know much about any of that. I do know that Grace did a lot of the help and everything, driving the team so the Dad shocked, driving the binder. Grace did an awful lot of work.
She did a lot of the field work.
She did a lot of the field work with him, and Gertrude was more taking care of the chickens and the turkeys and that kind of stuff.
Let's go down the
Yeah.
order of the birth of the children.
Well, Grace was born first, and
Do you know what year?
in 1910.
1910, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
they've got
Okay, you've got it.
they've got all the
Okay.
dates, and this came from, that must have come from Pat, I think.
Yeah.
That came from Pat Duknick, all this stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then,
And then was Gertrude.
let's get the
19,
order.
1913 for Gertrude.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they're in descending order here, okay.
Yep, they're in descending order.
Okay. So, okay, we've got Grace, 1910, Gertrude, 1913. Oh, you've got the Bible?
I've got, no, this one I gave to Ma
Oh.
one year. But I'm trying to find the one with our names on that she had written down.
Well, we've got it here. We've
Here
got
we are.
Oh, okay.
Here it is.
Verify it.
John Brentrup, December 25th, 1886. He died in 1952.
Yeah.
Catherine, April 4, 1888. Grace, November 17th, 1910. Gertrude, January 11th, 1913. John Charles, 1915. October the
Fifth.
5th.
Uh-huh.
Hubert, July 23rd, 1917. Estella, October 9th, 1919. Ralph, September 3rd, 1922. And Valerie, January 9th, 1924.
Or 9th or 19th?
19th. This is the
19th.
19th.
Yeah, it's 19th, yeah.
Okay. All right. And all born on the homestead?
They were all born on the homestead. When Grace and Gertrude were born, Doc Rundle was there. I know that. I don't know whether he was still there when J.C. and Hubert were born or not.
Doc Rundle?
Doc Rundle. Earl Rundle's dad.
I'll be darned. So and they were only a mile or so away from there, weren't they? From the yeah.
Well, his place was Doc's place was a little further away than the ranch. And but he was the one. I know that he delivered Gertrude. His mother almost didn't make it
I'll be darned.
when she was born. And they had the old Doc talked her into coming back. Is what they used to say.
Yeah.
And but I don't know. I know when Valerie was born, Sophie Nassett was there. She was
Midwife?
midwife,
Okay.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And Valerie was born at supper time.
Oh.
As I went in, Ralph had the high chair, so I had to have a pillow to sit on. Of course, I was still to the bit easy.
Yeah.
So I had to go get my pillow, and while I went into the living room to get my pillow, he let out his first yip.
I'll be darned.
At supper time. And I had bellyache all that day.
Now, I heard that there was that Grandpa, when the kids were being born, he'd sit in his rocking chair, and there's knife whittling. Is there any truth to that story? Did you have a rocking chair out there?
Not that I know of. No.
Okay.
Mother had a little one, but it was not big enough for Dad's caboose.
Oh, really?
She had a little. It was only about like this.
Okay. Or maybe it wasn't a rocking chair. Or was it, just a regular
Captain chair.
chair? Yeah.
He had his old captain's chair, is what he sat in all the time.
Okay.
But I don't know when that came into being either.
Okay. See, now I heard a story, and I have no idea where it came from. Is that when the children were being born, he would sit in a chair and he'd sit there with his pocket knife, and he took chips out of the chair. And you didn't. Okay.
Well, it wasn't the chair that
Okay.
it wasn't the chair that he sat in when I was around.
Okay.
So it might have been a different chair.
Okay.
But that I never heard.
Okay. Okay.
So.
I think Sylvia's got food out there we want to eat before we continue.
You want to do that? You want to
Yeah.
stop here?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can do that.
Ed, you found the.
I found the picture of the people that Dad stayed with when he first came over from Germany, and that's Ben and Maggie Kirkemeyer. And
And that was in Minneapolis or in the.
no, this is down near Franklin and Bird Island,
Oh, okay.
in the Franklin Bird Island area.
Okay.
And this guy had great big monstrous horses. And when I visited there in 1936, they were still there, and they had these great big horses.
Oh.
And that's when that picture was taken. So,
Are they relatives or are they just friends?
no, they were from Germany at some time, but they were family friends of, whether they were, I don't know. But Dad
Okay.
came over and stayed there at first when he came to Minnesota. But I never heard him talk about any place else where he lived.
Now, were they the ones that sponsored him for his citizenship? No, he was citizenship here at.
He got his citizenship in North Dakota.
Okay.
So it had, I think that it was McCaffrey's, Mac McCaffrey's.
That were lived out in Slow County.
They had the Midway Hotel,
Ah,
and
okay.
they were the ones
That answered that question too.
Yeah, they were the ones that got him ready to go to Garrison when he was getting married. It helped him
Okay.
get himself all lined up for that.
Oh, okay.
And then the funny part of it is when Mac died, it was an awful rainy day when they had his funeral, and Dad took her in for his funeral, and she stopped. John, stop! He says, why? He says, we gotta go back. She says, I forgot to bring Matt's appenders. She says, her Dad says, he won't need his suspenders. Yeah, she says, but how he's going around on Resurrection Day holding up his pants.
You hear that? Well, let's see. We were at the birth. We went through the children. We went through the children in date of birth order.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Now, how many children did Grace have?
Grace had 3. There was Ray and Dorothy and Pat.
Okay, and Gertrude had.
Marlene and Bill.
Okay, and then J.C.
J.C. had Dale.
Dale.
Howard had, you guys all know.
Yeah, we know all that. We know that. And then you're
we
next.
had 4.
You had 4.
Gillard, David, Charles, and Brian.
Okay. And then Ralph was next, right?
Ralph didn't have any.
Okay, and.
And Valerie had his 6.
6.
And that's Bob and Diane and
Brad.
And
Jim,
Donna, Jim, Donna.
Jim.
Becky,
There you go. That's it.
Becky.
Okay, so we're about what, 1910, somewhere in there during the proving up days and all of that. You were born what year again?
1919.
1919. So it was 9 years. Now, was the home built? Was it completed by the time you remember?
Oh yeah, I don't remember ever living in it when it wasn't. It was just 3 rooms.
Okay.
By the time they started off with just the 1 room with a deal, and then they built on a section for the kitchen with a slant roof, and another one for the bedroom with a slant roof, and they leaked more times than they didn't.
So it was 3 rooms. What was the sleeping conditions?
Well, in the bedroom we slept. There were 2 beds. The bedroom only held 2 beds and a dresser. So there was a curtain between the 2 beds, and we slept 3 in a bed.
Okay.
And then when the folks had a cot that folded up. In fact, you let the 2 sides down and then unfolded the mattress when you put the sides up.
Okay.
It was kind of like a settee during the day.
Okay.
But when Valerie came along, he slept in a dresser drawer for a while.
I'll be darned. Oh, that's
Oh
good.
yes.
When you start crying, you can just close the daggone drawer. So the six kids slept in the same room.
In the same room.
And where'd your mom and dad sleep?
They slept in the living room.
In the living room, okay. On the settee.
On the cot.
Okay.
What we called a cot, but it had
Okay.
2 sides that folded up.
Okay. Now, that is the way the configuration of the homestead house was all the way until they left the homestead?
Yep.
Okay.
That was still,
There's
that
three
was just the
rooms.
way, it never changed.
One main room, one lean-to for kitchen area. Now, was there a doorway in it, or did they just, I mean, was there a doorway to go into the kitchen, or was it just open?
No, it was a doorway.
Okay,
You had a door there, and if you didn't, you could always, if it got too cold, you could always hang a blanket down over it.
Okay. so
There was
now,
no storm windows or anything,
Yeah.
so it was always cold.
and no insulation.
No insulation.
Okay.
No, the heater, lots of times the heater'd have ice, the tea kettle would have ice in it in the morning on top of the heater,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and you banked the heater.
Okay.
But now there's another interesting deal with our coal. We mine our own coal,
Mm-hmm.
and what we do is mine it 1 year ahead and cover it with hay during the year. And that made this lignite turn harder, so we had more lashes and less clinkers.
More lashes?
Ashes.
Oh, ashes, okay.
More
Okay,
ashes
yeah,
and less
okay.
clinkers.
Okay, oh, I'll be darned.
And it burned longer.
Good. Now, where did you get your coal from?
We mined it over at the ranch. They hauled it lots of times from other places.
The
but
ranch, which ranch?
Rundle's Ranch.
Rundles, okay.
Rundle's Ranch, up
South-
on the hill.
South
North,
and east of the place?
just east of, it was just the road between,
Okay.
so it was just east of the place. And it was just just south of the place where we, and your dad and I dynamited coal there. Believe
Okay.
it or not, when we were kids.
Who was that?
I don't think I was 16.
Is that right?
I wouldn't think of doing that there, but.
Early fireworks, huh?
Yeah,
Light a stick of dynamite and blow her up, huh?
well, we do.
Well, how would you get to the coal? I mean, there's got to be dirt and stuff over the top of it, or...
Oh, yeah.
And how far down did you have to dig to get the
Well,
coal?
this was along the Cannonball River. I think it was the Cannonball.
Yeah,
Well, that makes sense, yeah.
There.
Yeah.
And the bank, was where the bank came down, you could see the coal under
Oh,
the
okay.
field. And you dug out.
Okay, so you
And-
didn't have to take a whole
Yeah,
bunch of
we
dirt
did,
off the top?
we did with a slip, yeah, with what we call a slip. It's just a two-handled deal with a horse pulling it that you dug the dirt off with.
Like a little scraper, or a...
Well, it was a.
Like a
it was-
oversized shovel?
It was more like a shovel, but you had a deal on it for the horse to pull.
Uh-huh.
Hitch on it for
And then you
Okay.
had a handle behind so you could steer it.
I remember when old, what's his name, they built that house, what the heck is his name, used to live that little house right up the street from us.
Amundsen?
No, right on the corner.
Oh, you mean old Hammer?
Hammer, yeah. When they built Charlie's
Yeah.
house up there, that's what they used to dig it with,
I'll be darned.
back in the
What
early
they call the
50s.
slip.
Slip, okay. I think I got a pretty good idea what you're talking about, yeah.
And so no, then we'd haul it home. And of course, they did haul it from the Badlands.
Uh-huh.
Other years, lots of years, they hauled it from out in the Badlands.
Well, that's, Dad talked about going out to the Badlands,
Yeah.
and it was quite a long
Yeah.
way out there. And they would take wagon or two wagons or something like that and make a day out of it or something like that. There's another story now, with the currant bushes that
Oh,
were out there. How did they arrive, or what's the story behind the currant bushes?
the Kurt Bushes came over on the sailboat with Wad and Spenders when they sailed to the United States. And they had, Mother, for years, still had the candle that they had. It was a little, about as big around as, maybe not as big around as your little finger. And it had a deal on it, it folded over, and in each side when they got to do it, there was a picture painted on each side. Then they'd wind another bunch on, and there was another picture painted on. And then, but each one of these little turn-ups they would turn up at night. This candle was blessed. And each night they'd turn up and light that candle while they were saying their prayers for the evening. And then that, they had it counted so that the days, there was enough on that candle for all the days that they would be traveling by boat.
Huh.
I don't know what happened to the candle. I really don't.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a very interesting.
But the currant bushes were wrapped?
No,
You-
but the currant bushes came over at the same time.
Oh, okay.
They came over, and then Dad got some from Garrison, and that's how come we still got them.
I've got some in Denver.
And Bob's folks have some.
Yeah, I made some wine out of it too. It's,
Oh yeah.
Right now, I'm in a heck of a fight with the birds. They get them before I get to them. But I've
Yeah.
got 2 bushes in Denver, and Dad, Dad had about 8 or 10 of them out there in the yard, and that's where I got mine from. I got them from his thing. So they came from Germany. That's great.
They came over on the boat with the wagon spenders.
Now, did
Hold it a second, hold it.
Oh.
Battery's going dead. Just to let you know, this is July 1st, 2001. I'm gonna change batteries.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Ready? Okay. Speaking of the going out into the Badlands to get the coal, was it Grandma that always wanted, or was it Grandpa that brought back trees from the Badlands during the?
It must have been Dad, but it might have been Grandma. Grandma wanted trees awful bad,
Okay.
and we never did get any going until she got one in a box elder, one in with the tomatoes one year.
Oh,
That was how that one got started.
So that shelter belt that's out there at the homestead.
Oh, that
now,
was all done after I left.
That was okay. That was.
That was all grown
So there was
after.
no trees at all.
No, there wasn't a tree on the place until
So that
I
volunteer
remember-
came up. Huh?
I remember the year that Ma got the tomato plant or the tomatoes with the tree in them.
I'll be darned.
And then they brought in one cedar from out in the little cedar from out in the Badlands, and that was the only 2 we had on the place as long as I was there.
Okay. What were the dimensions of the home? The main area there.
Well, I haven't any good idea.
Would it be the size of this room here?
Oh no, it wasn't as big as this room.
Okay, so.
The living room might have been. God, I couldn't tell you, but it wasn't. It wasn't a big room. There was room. We had a door going out in the 1 bedroom. A door going into the bedroom. And a door coming in from the living room. A window on that side, and the window on that side.
Okay.
And
But
but there wasn't much room in the. By the time you got the cot opened up, the heater in the cot took about up all the room in the
Okay, in the living room.
in the living room.
So when
there was only a walk space,
you figure about 10 feet by 12 feet.
something like that.
Okay.
And
And then the kitchen was that
Was the
added on
same.
the wide side or the narrow side?
on the wide side.
Okay, so that would have been the length of the.
Yeah.
So that would have probably been what, 12 feet by another,
By
say, 8
another-
feet, 6 feet?
No, probably 8 feet, but I
Okay.
don't know what and the ceiling in that, started higher, but it ended up to being about 5 foot,
Okay,
5 or 5.5.
and then the bedroom would have been.
It's about the same,
About
about the same.
10 by,
Oh,
10 by 6, 10 by 8, something like that?
Well, it was long enough for a double bed and about 3 feet on the bottom end of a double bed.
Okay. So now, as you walked into the front of the cabin, into the homestead, and then you came into
kitchen.
you came into the kitchen.
You came into the kitchen, you didn't come into the living room.
Okay, so you came into the kitchen and then went straight through to the living room.
No,
Okay,
you came into the kitchen and you had the coats and stuff hung here, and then the door to the living room was there. You came in from here.
oh, okay,
And,
okay.
and this is where the coats hung, then you went into the living room. And that was, that was just fairly close to where the wall was in the, I don't know how it's extended past. I'm trying to remember how in the heck the things stuck past, but I don't know if there's any.
Okay, I'm just gonna, okay, let's just say that this is the kitchen, okay? And just, you know, just the dimensions of the kitchen. So you came in from this way,
Yeah, you came.
and this is gonna be the living room here.
We came in from the east.
Came in from the east, okay, so,
We came in here.
okay,
Now here's your this is the this is the living room, we'll say.
okay,
Okay. Then here's the kitchen.
oops,
Here's the kitchen over here.
okay,
But it did extend past a little ways.
okay,
there somehow.
let's just kinda, yeah, let me get a little bigger one here. Okay, about like this,
Yeah,
okay?
because there was a little entryway here where we came in.
Oh, okay,
And in here.
okay.
And
So the door in was here?
the door in was here.
Okay, all right,
And then you came in and then you went in right into the living room.
into the living room, okay?
And then the bedroom was off here.
Bedroom was there. Oh, okay.
It wasn't. It
All
wasn't.
right.
It wasn't under.
It wasn't symmetric. I mean, oh yeah, it wasn't. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So and then the kitchen. This here was probably the length of this. Let's say 12 feet by 8 feet. That would be this section here.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. And then this one here would probably be 12 by 10 by 12. Somewhere in there. And then that bedroom had to be probably 8 by 8 or 8 by 10.
I think probably, yeah.
And then this main part. This was the main cabin to begin with. And now did that have eaves? Which way did the rafters go?
They see, they went north, no, east and west. The roof came down this way, east and west.
So it went this way.
No,
Okay.
It from the wide part.
Yeah. Yeah, did the rain come off of this here and dump out of the roof of the kitchen?
No, I'm wrong on the because the roof was east. and
Isn't there a
west.
picture of that in the house in one of some of these pictures?
I don't know. The roof was this way. The kitchen ended up over here.
Okay,
But
okay.
it did go past.
Yeah,
it
this
came
one passed,
from-
okay.
It
So
came
that's okay,
past
so the
here.
roof was this way, it had a lean-to this way,
Yeah.
and then that's why you had a
This is
lean-to
the-
over here
yeah.
on the bedroom too.
Yeah.
So the water come off of this roof onto the bedroom and then down. Okay,
And then this one, there was only about 5 feet off of the ground. This where this.
we're at this
one-
end here.
Yeah,
so-
at this end
So
here.
it's sloped, this sloped. Okay, I got a pretty good idea.
Because we had when
Oh, I'm sorry.
when we had something sitting out there, the little billy goats used to jump up on top of the roof and run back and forth in the morning.
Wake you up in the morning? Oh, boy. Oh, that'd be darn.
Oh, I think.
So, now,
He
you
was
know,
gone
Grandma
at
and
least.
Grandpa's house in New England had, the kitchen was kind of a lean-to portion of it too, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Kind of
Pretty much on the same.
on the same order as the homestead, because I remember the configurations of the house there in New England.
So the
Let me get this stuff put back in here then. Okay, now, that was the house. What other buildings did you have?
well, we had a chicken house. We had a toilet with a 3-holer.
Three-holer, huh?
Oh yes, there were two for the big size, and then you had one about this high for the little kids.
Oh,
with the little
really?
hole. Oh yes.
Okay, now let's kind of, just so that we kind of get an idea as to where this is the house.
Mhm.
Okay, and let's say that that would be east.
This is east here.
That's east. Okay, all right.
Okay.
So we're going west. Where was the outhouse?
The outhouse was over about there, and
Okay.
the chicken house was next, and the granary was next.
Chicken house here.
Yeah, and then the granary,
Okay.
and that was where we slept in the the granary was right alongside the chicken house.
Oh, okay.
Right on the.
Right here. Okay.
Uh-huh. And the well was right over here.
Let me get something to mark that. well, okay.
Yeah, the well was,
In here? Or-
more there, and then the straw shed was over here.
Okay, I got
You're gonna have to have more.
Okay,
The straw
Let's-
shed was a little bit further that way,
okay.
yeah.
Now-
And then the shop was on the other end of the granary,
Like this?
yeah.
Okay,
And then the barn was still further back that way.
okay. Here?
No, pretty much, yeah, about like that.
Okay.
And that was about the whole total of buildings.
Total buildings, okay.
Okay, where
So,
were,
okay.
excuse me, where was that cave they spent, where was that at
I don't
roughly?
know.
Oh, now
Okay.
here, this would be, to my recollection here, that, no, we were be north and east of the house. Which direction are we here?
That's east going towards the farm.
This is east.
Yep.
That's east, okay. Okay, so the creek came in
Down
here.
here.
Was down here.
Yeah.
And the garden was here.
The garden was,
You know, like the creek was here.
the garden was kind of over
Yeah,
here.
and that's where the first well was.
Yeah.
Okay. So the cave
Okay,
or the
first-
dugout would have been about right in here. There's a little bitty bend
There's a
in the
creek
in the creek.
Mhm.
There's a creek running through
And
there.
I can show you that because there's still a divot. You know, there's still
Okay.
a divot in the ground there.
I didn't
and,
know about that. I never
yeah.
had heard that.
Yeah, Dad, no, I didn't know about it either until Dad, when we were filming up there, Dad turned around, you know, he said, well, the straw shed was here and the chicken coop was here and all this sort of thing, and over there's the cave that they lived in the first year after they got married, and it went on and on. I said, well, wait a minute, what are you talking about, this cave? You know, so, okay, so yeah, that would have been about in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that would be down, and the
What's this
well,
right here?
the well would
That's
be,
the
Well,
the well,
Yeah, that's
the
the well.
first well that he dug was that he broke his legs in was right down
Okay,
below
yeah.
the house.
And then the second well was, you say was 60 feet deep?
And
No, this is the
there.
well here. What's this here now? Chicken coop, right?
Outhouse.
Oh, that's the outhouse,
That's
the
the
three
outhouse.
holer, okay.
That's the
And
outhouse.
here's the little younger one, the little hole there for the younger one.
Yeah. No,
Okay.
this ran this way with a 3-holer.
Three holer, oh, okay. All right. All right, let's go over this again. The house, the outhouse,
Chicken
chicken
coop?
coop, straw shed,
No,
Granary.
the granary,
granary,
shop,
shop,
barn,
Barn. straw shed,
straw shed.
and well. Okay. Now, the well was 60 feet deep.
Mhm.
Did you have a pump on it to get the water out, or did you have to drop buckets down?
Oh, no, we had a windmill.
In a windmill, okay, so
We
you had a
windmill,
pump
sometimes
system.
we had to pump it by hand if the wind didn't
Yeah.
blow, but most of the time it,
Yeah, I
and it
don't know
run
if it-
continuously.
Yeah.
North Dakota.
Oh, it ran continuous?
We ran it continuously, let the tank overflow and it watered the garden. We had a ditch dug down for the
Oh,
garden,
okay.
and we watered the garden. That was after I was there,
Uh-huh.
this
That was fancified,
yeah,
because Dad talks about him and JC hauling water off that other well over there up to Grandma's garden. Because they'd come in from working or whatever it is, and Grandma would say, okay,
That's right.
water the garden, and so that was the closest well, and they got it going or whatever it is, and so.
I know that they used it, but, I can remember them using it, but I never
Mhm.
had to
Okay.
use it.
So where was the garden located?
Over here, we're in here. Kind of,
Okay.
and this
Right in
is
south
kind of
here.
the top of a hill here too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this down here is kind of a drop-off type thing
Yeah.
here. Nowadays, they've got a shelter belt of trees that goes
Uh-huh.
over
I have
this way.
been there for a
Mhm.
long
Yeah.
time, and
And, okay, so that's making sense. Now, the barn. First of all, how many head of cattle did you guys run? You did more ranching than you did farming, right?
well, later on, yeah, after I was around, but before that, Dad had they had just milk cows, and up until '36,
Mm-hmm.
we had sheep,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't have a big herd of cattle. We never milked probably more than 10 cows in a
Okay.
year.
What about range cattle?
Well, they had some, but not a big amount.
Okay.
When Ma had her cattle from the homestead, she had her own brand, and Dad had his brand. Ma's
Okay.
brand was E6, I think.
E6?
I think that was her brand.
That's off the township, that's the name of the township you were in, right? And I know Grandpa's was.
No, E6 was the next township over. We
Okay.
lived in Dover Township.
That's right, you were in Dover Township.
We lived in Dover Township. But, and Dad's cattle had J-Bar-B brand.
Mhm.
And when Dad decided that they shouldn't have the two brands on the place, he sold the Ma's cows and bought the first Model T for $600.
So Grandma had her own brand and she had her cattle
Yeah.
that she had inherited from her parents up in.
Well, I don't
up
know
in-
whether she'd inherited them,
Oh, well, or-
what the deal was.
That may have been
At
the
all. Yeah.
payment for her homestead
Yeah.
property.
That might have been.
So,
I
okay.
don't know what it was, but I know that she had her own brand because I remember when Dad sold the cattle.
Okay. Okay. And you say most of the time while you were there, this is pretty much
That's
the
all there-
configuration of everything
Yeah.
that was there, okay.
Uh,
And that is facing east, so that means Highway 85 is up here.
Yeah, that's about a half mile up
Half a
there.
mile up there, okay.
Mhm.
Okay. And then now if Highway 85 is here, the old stage or the old ruts coming from Bowman would be somewhere in between here, right?
No, they're on the other, west of 85 on E6.
Oh, okay. So Highway 85 split the E6 township from Dover Township?
Yeah,
Okay.
when it started out. Now it don't anymore.
Oh, okay.
Now it don't anymore.
Yeah, because the Highway 85 has changed
Yeah.
its course, yeah, that's right.
I'm trying to get oriented in terms of the house. Which side was the kitchen on?
The kitchen was on the west side,
On the west side.
and the bedroom was on the east side.
East side, okay.
Not the west, on the south, on the north side.
The kitchen
The kitchen is on the north
on
side.
the
Okay,
north.
let me. Okay, yeah, kitchen would have been here then.
No.
No,
north,
this is west.
east.
This is north.
That's north.
As
Okay.
we looked, we had, the window was only about this high, and the kids could look out the kitchen window at the tank and watch the cattle come up to drink and everything else.
Over at the well,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
But, no, this is the east side of the house?
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
And the kitchen's on the,
the kitchen's on the north.
this would be the south if this is.
No.
No,
No.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's right.
never mind, I'm getting
Yeah.
myself all around here. I'm trying to sketch this out, and I'm getting myself all turned around.
Okay, so
Okay.
we had kitchen here and then the
The
bedroom
bedroom is
here.
here.
The bedroom here,
Mhm.
okay.
Get this pictured?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The road runs through here,
I don't think they
and then
did.
the road up to the house off of the road from Rundle's comes in here.
The road from the house comes down this way, and then the road goes up to the ranch. There's about,
The ranch would be, yeah, the ranch would be east, the ranch would be this direction, wouldn't it, yeah?
no, the
Would it come
ranch,
down?
the ranch is
Rundle
east.
Ranch?
Yeah, the ranch is east, but it's
Yeah.
down to the
Southeast.
down to the
Mhm.
south, but
Yeah.
it's
Right.
just
South and
barely.
east, okay.
It's just barely southeast.
Okay.
I was gonna see if.
And now where was that coal vein that you guys got your coal from?
Well, that was on the ranch, but
Which
it
have been-
just south, just,
Okay,
it was,
then south would have been over in this area.
yeah.
Okay.
It-
About how far? A
Oh,
mile, 2 miles?
Oh, just, it's right, the river ran right past the barn at the ranch,
Uh-huh.
and that was where we dug our coal, was on
Okay.
that river,
Okay.
so. Let's see if there was here's another picture of the old straw shed, with them blowing onto it.
Oh, here on there, yeah.
Mhm.
And here. And here. huh? So. Now, we've got the description of the straw shed on tape, right?
No,
Did you
Yeah.
describe that? Well,
that was before.
okay, describe that again. Let's get,
Oh,
okay?
here's a picture of Grandpa Kirchen.
I'll be darned. Boy, he's hard to, he had a beard, full beard, white beard.
He was 20 years older than Grandma.
Well, I'll be darned.
They both died at the same age, and she died 20 years after he did.
I'll be darned.
Here's your grandma. Gertrude and me.
I won't be able to, I won't be able to get at the pictures either. I don't think it'll come out.
No, I don't think you can
No.
get them on there at all.
I'll take a little scan and email them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got a scanner?
No, I don't have a scanner.
Scanner, I'll try to, I'm having a little trouble with
Okay.
trying to
Well,
figure it out.
if you can just get copies of them, put them in an envelope, it'll be a lot easier than trying on. My computer is not quite capable of handling all the pictures through the email that you send and stuff. It's not quite up to snuff. So, okay, now let's talk about that straw shed.
Well,
Dad's whole world seemed to be around surround that straw shed. So
well, that was a,
now where's the straw shed on this?
Over there.
oh, here,
Over there. Okay.
okay. And it was a large building, and it had, the straw shed itself had posts in it to hold up the wire that they used as the ceiling part of it to hold the straw. And on the outside of it, they had the bigger fence around for hay and feeding cattle. And on this side was the part that was used for the garage. And that had flax straw to start with. And every year they blew when they thrashed, they blew straw on top of the straw shed. It never leaked that I can remember,
I'll be darned.
because it was so old until after the dirty 30s when we fed most of the straw for the straw shed. Because that was
Now, would it get moldy from the wet? I mean, I'm sure that the rain
no,
here would.
because it had the full air going
Sure,
through.
that's right. It had circulation through there. Yeah.
They did have doors on each end. Yeah, on the north and the south end,
Uh-huh.
and so that you could open it up in air and have it and drive through. We used to drive through with the hay rack and everything, and used to use it for milking. We used part of the barn for milking sometimes, but outside of that,
So, but the cattle in winter would be a good place for the cattle to hang out in the winter
yeah,
time?
they could get in there, and then it was right. The tank was right there at the so they could come out of there. And
How about the barn? Did the cattle hang out in the barn then in the winter time too, or?
No, the barn we usually used for horses
Okay.
because we always used horses. My dad had a deal against tractors. When Wilford bought a tractor, that was about the end of us on the farm.
There's no way to farm, was it?
No, not according
Okay.
to Dad. So, but anyway, that was. But he when he was young, he'd get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and walk after his horses instead of keeping one in and riding it out after. And he was just.
How far would they have to go to get the horses in the mornings?
Well, I don't know. They turned them out on the prairie.
Well, actually there was no fences, was there?
There wasn't any when
Okay.
they first started. No. And as they by the time J.C. came along, they had fences because he used to go out with his hammer and his dog and drive staples every day. And then the dog found a grass snake one day, or J.C. saw a grass snake and he was going to pick it up, and Sport took it away from him and shook it to pieces, and he was madder than hell when he came home.
The dog's name was Sport?
Yeah.
Okay.
J.C.'s dog name was Sport.
Okay.
And when they took the guns out of the house, the dog went in. He didn't like the guns.
Oh, really? How much hunting did you guys do?
They didn't do much hunting.
Okay.
It wasn't.
Because there really wasn't much to hunt, was there?
Well, there were prairie chickens and that.
Uh-huh.
Hoover was the
Jackrabbits.
one that brought in more stuff than anybody, and he usually used a hammer.
Oh, really? Threw a hammer at it? I know that when he
Yeah.
worked for the highway department, that was his. He'd see pheasants and he'd
Yeah.
hit them with a hammer.
He used a hammer to. He used a hammer and threw a hammer and
Yeah.
got them.
Yeah, he said he'd throw it just above their head, and then when they'd see the hammer coming, he'd fly right into it and thump, and
Yeah.
it'd knock them over just enough for him to get out there and wring their necks.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, that's what he
I
told
didn't
me.
realize it went all the way back. I remember Dad doing that, when he was
Well, he
home.
brought in rabbits. He did have a gun. He had a 22
Uh-huh.
that he used to get rabbits and that kind of stuff with. But we used to eat the rabbits a lot.
Did you ever eat deer, antelope, any
No.
of that? Okay. See, that's what Dad was saying too. There wasn't a hell of a lot of.
There wasn't much of that around.
And then Dad mentioned, or no, Mom mentioned, I think, that one time, right after they got telephones or something out there, somebody saw an antelope and the whole party line thing was lit up, man, and everybody went out to look at that antelope. Anyway, okay, let's.
Now the party line, that was quite a deal.
Yeah.
What year did you get the telephone, do you remember?
Huh?
The year you got telephone?
No, I don't remember when we got the telephone. They put in the line, each person had to put in their own length of line and maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
And
From the main line.
to Amadon.
Oh, wow.
And I think it went to Amadon. I don't think they
Mhm.
had any. I don't think they had anybody at Midway. See, Midway was in between Amadon and our place, and they had. As near as I know, they didn't, but they had to maintain their own. They put in the new telephone poles, and they got split with lightning and all of that, and then you ring your whoever you wanted, and you'd hear all the wide everybody picking up the phones and listening.
Being nosy, huh?
Us kids used to get a kick out of the Norwegians, and they're got a letter from Asta, a brava from Asta. We knew the both families, of course, and it was fun.
Well, let's see here now. You had some milk cows,
Yeah, we always milk cows.
always milk. About how many?
Well, usually around 7
7?
was our main.
Okay.
We had one in particular that was that we kept on the south place, and when we lived on the two places.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a minute too. 'Cause I
Okay.
don't wanna,
But
and then range cattle, you had maybe 20, 30 at a time, and sheep, right?
we had 500 sheep, I know.
500 sheep, okay.
And then Dad took had gotten can't think of their names for that. Kilwine's sheep and run them with ours
Oh,
on chairs.
wow. So but that would have been included in the 500?
No, that would have been on top of the 500
Wow.
that we had. And then the cattle, we used to have quite a few cattle. I don't know how many. And then we ran cattle on chairs with shots
Oh, yeah.
in New England,
Uh-huh.
the grocery.
Fred,
So, in other words, the herds just mingled together
Yeah,
and grazed on
they
both.
were
areas
branded.
proper.
They were branded separate
Okay, yeah,
so that they could tell. Yeah.
yeah. And so, but now, was that open range or was that fenced in?
Oh no! By the time we did that, we had our own, and then we had a school section that we rented.
That was where the Dover School was?
Huh?
Where the Dover School was?
Oh no! Dover School was east.
Oh, okay.
This was west. We had that school section was E6.
Okay,
It was north of or west of 85.
oh, okay.
And then the section next to that was the pasture land that was fenced for pasture. E6, the E6 was the school section,
Okay.
and that was open. But we had our pasture on the south of that,
Okay,
and that was fenced.
okay.
That was half a section.
Now, how many acres did you guys own, was the homestead?
That I can't tell you.
Okay.
We had the quarter, the dad homesteaded on.
What's a
And
quarter,
then
160?
That'd have been 160 acres, yeah. I think each one of them got 80. Did he get 80 or 160 for homesteading?
I think it's 160.
I thought
Okay.
it's a quarter, I think
Okay.
it's a quarter section,
Okay.
if I remember.
Okay.
Then he bought some of the other as it
Okay.
came up.
And plus you leased or had?
Yeah.
Okay, now, let's go over to the south place. When did you guys lease that land or?
We leased it from, I can't even say her name now.
Hanson?
Somebody from in New England.
Brewston?
Somebody that lived in New
Fuller
England.
got that from when,
Huh?
when I interviewed you with Andrew, you said Fuller's. Does that make sense? Is that a name that makes sense?
Would you say
Could be, yeah.
Brewston? Siebert Brewston?
No, it wasn't Brewston.
Okay.
It would have
Okay.
been Fuller's, yeah,
Fuller's? Okay.
I think.
Okay.
And they had it was a big house. That one was a big house, but it didn't. The water was alkali water, so you couldn't drink the water there. But it was on the Cannonball, and we could haul water from the river for washing, and we haul water from our place from the homestead to over there.
How far was it?
2 miles straight across, but you had to go, it was about 3.5 miles
Okay.
around.
Okay. So you haul drinking water from the,
If we call all drinking water from our homestead, there was only a few places along there that had good water. Most of them had to haul their water from someplace. But ours and Hanson's and I don't remember who else. There was more places along there that had good water,
Mhm.
but there was very few that had good water. And then on the south place, there was we had rented I think it was a section,
Okay.
a whole section, but not.
And what, did you farm it or was it more ranching and sheep?
Well, there was farmland there, and there was pasture, and that was where they'd bring in the fall when they weaned the calves, they'd bring the calves over there. And well, the year that we got a snowstorm in May was when Mother froze her foot and had a sore on the bottom of her foot all summer long.
Wow.
And but she went out to try and get in the weaners,
Mhm.
and before they got stuck in a fence corner someplace or something. Because they had in 1919 they lost an awful big herd of cattle.
Grandpa and Grandma did?
Grandpa and Grandma did and I think it's in the South Saga, I don't, but anyhow, the cattle piled up in the corner of the fence and walked right over each other. And
Oh, all right.
the-
In a blizzard?
Yeah.
Okay.
And what was that, the spring of 1919, did you say?
Sometime in 1919, I don't know
Over the
just
winter,
when,
yeah,
but
it
it was
was-
in 1919 because it was the year that I was born.
Because Dad, mentioned something to the effect, and I don't know what winter it was, but I guess cattle, when, they get big dung balls, on there, they, when they go to the bathroom, it freezes before it hits the ground, and they get big dung balls on the back of, and I don't remember how they treat us. Suppose they have to get them inside and
I
get them
don't
warm,
know
or-
don't
but that
remember
was-
any of that,
they'd come
because I
back
think
from-
that they had things pretty well taken care of so that they didn't get those anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I never saw them. I know that the other guys probably did, because they probably knew more about it. They were with Dad more than
Uh-huh.
I was.
So Grandma froze her foot trying to get those little calves in.
Yeah,
And that, yeah, that would have had to been a late snowstorm.
it was a
because
real
calves
late.
are born in what,
It
March,
must have
April?
been, it must have
Mhm.
been the first of, because we usually only had eight months of school at that time. And then you had one month was left for the 7th and 8th graders to take their tests. They're to study take for exams.
Mhm.
We used to, when we lived at Mord, which I went to Mord after after my 3rd grade.
Mhm.
So when we'd go to, there were 3 schools in Moore District. And you went to 1 week to each school, and then you took your exam.
Now, where's the Moore district?
Mord is the one that, at the South Place. Mord is the school district at
okay.
the South Place.
Okay.
And Dover was the one at the
Okay,
Homestead.
let's talk about the schools and stuff now. When you guys lived at the North Place, you went to school at Dover.
Yeah, that was 4.5 miles.
Okay.
And,
And snow up to your hind pockets and,
Oh, yes.
and uphill both ways, right?
well, we had hills, yeah.
But Grace had a picture of, I guess she used to drive a wagon or
She probably drove a wagon. Dad had, by the time that I came along, they had a cutter, which was a sleigh with the round
Mm-hmm.
runners on it. And we had a top built on that so that you could, we had the soapstones that we put in the oven at night, and then you put them in the bottom of the wagon to keep them warm, and you use covers to cover over yourself and drive to school.
And you had a hood over it then too, or you had?
Yeah, you had a
Oh,
top
yeah.
on it.
Okay.
And if you didn't, like when we went in the wagon, we'd have a blanket and we'd have a lantern. Set the lantern on the floor in there and cover ourselves with a blanket and it'd hold the heat in.
Uh-huh.
And
So that was, how many years did you go to Dover?
I went to St. Mary's 1 year and Dover 2.
Dover too, okay. Now, the older kids, Grace and Gertrude and
JC
JC would have went
and
to Dover for, what, 3-4 years? Now, did everybody spend a year at St. Mary's, or did you do?
The year that I went to St. Mary's, there was Gertrude, JC, Hubert, myself, and Grandma had Ralph and Valerie to take care of. Grandma Perchin took care of us that year. The mother and dad had the mail route between Midway and Belfield.
Oh, I never heard of this mail route. Okay, well, let's finish up with the school thing here.
Oh,
So you guys went 1 year to St. Mary's?
I went 1 year to St. Mary's.
Oh, okay.
The boys went on, they went the 1 year to high school. And after 2 years at Dover for high school, Ralph and Valerie
Okay.
didn't go. But JC and Hubert went 1 year or 2 years, I don't remember just
Okay.
what. And Gertrude went through high school at 3 years of high school at St. Mary's.
How about Grace?
Grace went to business college at high
Yeah.
school.
Okay,
At St.
after
Mary's.
Dover. Oh, okay, so she
And-
went, okay.
And they worked for people in town.
Okay, so it depends on what child you were in the order and
Yeah.
all of that as to how many years you
Well,
spent at St. Mary's.
I learned when I was in the 1st grade that I wasn't gonna go on to high school, so I didn't make much effort at it either.
Is that right? Yeah.
So,
Okay.
because Gertrude needed 3 credits to go to be a nurse. And Dad wouldn't let her go to Model High in Dickinson to get those 3 credits. I couldn't understand what the deal was on it,
I'll be darned.
and he would let her go.
Model High was at the Dickinson College, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she could have got her 3 credits there in the fall and Christmas, no problem. at all.
She could have been a nurse then.
Yeah. And that was what she wanted to be.
Oh, be darned.
And,
Any reason why Grandpa didn't want her to go, or?
well, he thought she'd get in trouble. That was the biggest problem with everybody. Their kids were gonna get in trouble, that was all it was to it anytime they...
So keep them close and keep
Yeah.
tight rein on them, huh?
Keep a tight rein on them, yes,
Uh-huh.
sir.
Oh, be darned. Okay, now, let's go back to the mail route.
Oh, that was, they had that for quite a few years. I don't remember all of them, but they used to pick up the cream along the way,
Mm-hmm.
put it in the car and haul it to Midway or Belfield, whichever
Well,
way
they
they were
were on the
going.
mail route.
Along the mail route, they picked
Okay.
up the cream cans and put them in the car,
Okay.
and then they'd shift the mail from one place to the next, you know, and pick up the mail out of the mailboxes and deliver it. But that was way back. That was when I was, like I said, in the first grade.
So that would have been mid-20s?
Yeah, I'd have had
Okay.
it
And that route went from Midway to Belfield?
Yeah.
And that would have taken in was it more of a direct route, or I mean, was it?
Oh, yeah,
Would they have delivered mail to themselves, right? Would
No.
their own house? Oh, their house wouldn't have been on the route.
No, their
Okay.
house wasn't on the route. This was between, just on 85,
Okay.
between Midway and Belfield.
Okay. And there was a lot of mailboxes out on Highway 85, right?
Yeah,
Okay, because all the ranchers from the Badlands,
they all
had to come all the
They
way
all
out to
had to come
85.
out to the mailboxes
Okay.
along the road there.
And now, was that
And
oh, go ahead.
And old Parkins was our mail route deliverer.
Which?
Floyd Parkins
Oh, okay.
was our mail.
Was that Heine's uncle?
Yeah,
Heine Parkin? Is it dad or his uncle? Or no? Well, yeah.
Heine's, I think it was his dad.
Okay. Okay, I'm
You know, Bill was a teacher. Which one of them? Can't remember.
okay.
But one of them taught, one of Floyd's kids taught at Dover one year when Valerie and Ralph were going there.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay. So I had another train of thought going here and I forgot.
Mail
We got
route?
off on, we're talking about the mail route. And then the cream route. I found in the back of, Grandma's garage there in New England, in the corner there was a cream can, or it's a milk can. It's
Yeah.
one that, it's not a cream cans with the short squatty ones. It's got a,
oh no, they were all different sizes.
oh, okay,
There was a 5-gallon, a 10-gallon,
okay.
and then you had the bucket.
There is a brass plate on that cream can, and it's got John Brentrup, New England, North Dakota on it. And I'm debating, it's really rusted out, there's holes in the bottom of it. I'm debating whether I should restore it or just leave it alone. And I've got it in my basement, and I may put some Brasso on it and clean up that brass deal there, but either that or sand it down, get all the old rust and stuff off of it and repaint it or do something like that. But that's kind of neat, so.
Yeah.
I thought them things were all stainless steel.
Well, they're
They weren't stainless steel at that time, they were tin.
Were they tin? Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, they were tin,
okay. Yeah,
because
it's got rusted, there's holes in it.
it rusted
It's
out.
rusted through, yeah, so, but,
They rusted out in due time, but there was a 2-gallon one too that was it was a short squatty thing, but then it had a bigger needle on it
Mhm.
and a bigger cover,
Mhm.
a different kind of a cover
Mhm.
rather than the 5 and 10-gallon cream can.
Now, the cream and stuff, I don't remember who was telling me, but the railroad went through the south, into Bowman and into Marmouth and so
Mhm.
forth. Now, somebody was telling me that they used to run cream from Midway to I don't know, what would have been Reeder? Or somewhere, some little town or someplace on that rail line.
Well, it had to be New England.
No, going south,
Oh, going
going
south.
south, to
Must
get
have
on the
been
main
heading
line there.
It must have been Hettinger then.
Well, that'd have been too far east.
No, there's another small town south of Bowman Haley Dam. I can't
Okay. But somebody said that that's, you know, the cream and milk was, you know, would be collected and brought into Midway, and then they had guys that would haul it. That you know, they,
They had to have somebody.
because
else.
my Grandpa Narum used to do that because he'd haul grain to the deal and then haul the cream cans back or something like that. They would, you know, so they'd go in through Midway with a load of grain or something, and or with an empty buckboard or whatever it is, and grab and take it up to some little town, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was that might be, yeah, that might be.
Scranton would be more
Yeah,
likely
yeah.
because Scranton was straight south of.
And Scranton would be on the rail line,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Yeah,
Okay.
Scranton was on the rail line.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, then yeah, that could be it then, okay.
Because Scranton was straight south of.
See, and then Grandpa and Grandpa would take theirs from Midway then and take it over to Belfield, which was on the other train line that came out of Dickinson, so, okay.
Great Northern.
My folks
Yeah,
never
indeed.
sold anything
Indeed.
that we could eat.
Never sold anything you could eat?
No, sir. We never, as long as I was a kid, we never sold an egg.
I'll be darned.
We sold the cream that we didn't need for butter and that kind of stuff. We sold that for sugar and coffee.
Uh-huh, oh, yeah.
And we had our own. Dad used to take his one great load of grain into, get it ground up. We had the breakfast cereal, we had the bran, we had the flour.
Where would you take it in to have it grain? No.
Well, when later on it was Belfield, but I think they used to have to take it to Richardson, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Well,
To be ground. And he would get 1,300 pounds of flour and all of the bran and all of that stuff. And we'd have cracked wheat for breakfast. That was for breakfast. And what we didn't use would go into the potato peelings and the vegetable stuff. And Ma'd cook that up and feed it to the chickens warm so they'd start laying for Lent. They cooked it and fed the chickens warm mash so that they would start laying by Lent.
So chickens don't lay eggs over the winter time?
No,
Okay.
it's too cold. They don't.
Okay, shut yours down. You need to change, Okay. You're right down there, yeah.
I remember Dad talked about it, but I can't remember the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
okay, now.
I remember the
let's see
name
here.
Bucyrus. Do you know where Bucyrus is?
Yeah,
That's
Oh,
further
that
on.
isn't it.
That's over by Mott, yeah.
That's by Mott, okay.
Well, that's between Reeder and Hettinger
Yeah.
on the line, is where that is.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
See, I didn't grow up down there.
Well, your dad worked on that line. On the
Uh-huh.
rail
Yeah, he
line
worked
there.
on the Milwaukee. That's
Yeah,
what Dad
this
worked
map
on.
just
That's
has
where
hardly-
Ryan worked.
Yeah.
Buffalo Springs.
Buffalo Springs, yep.
Does that sound right, Stella?
That, the Buffalo Springs
Yeah.
is down there, but that isn't the one that I was thinking of.
Okay,
There's another
that's
there in
the one,
there, too.
okay.
But Buffalo Springs was there, yeah.
Yeah, Reader, Regent, or no, Reader,
Hettinger, Reeder, Scranton.
I know,
Bowman,
yeah, Hettinger, Bucyrus,
Yeah.
Reader,
And they don't have.
Buffalo
Bucyrus
Springs, no,
listed
Scranton,
on
Buffalo
here.
Springs, and Bowman. They're
Right.
there, yeah.
There's a lot of little ones they don't.
But there was another little town, Griffin.
That's it, that's another one.
Griffin.
Griffin.
Griffin, okay.
Yep, that's,
Griffin,
I've heard
yeah.
Dad talk about that.
Okay. Okay, so we're talking about the mail route. You said, how many years did they have that mail route?
I don't remember. That I don't remember.
And they drove that. That was before, that
Yeah.
was after the,
That was after they had the Model T and all of
Okay.
that. Because the Model T, they got that before I went to school.
okay.
My dad said he thought they did that mail route just one winter, but I think that he must have been young enough. I don't know how he
Yeah,
remembered.
because when we were, they still had it when we went to St. Mary's that year. And I know that they'd had it before that.
So Grandma Kirchen came out to take care of you guys while they
Yeah.
did the mail route.
Uh-huh.
So she lived there for quite a while? then?
We lived in the Thorgard place. No, was it the Thorgard?
Oh, she took
No.
care of you guys at St.
In
Mary's?
town, in
In
St.
town.
Mary's, yeah. South of the tracks,
Uh-huh.
that long building.
The
that
Gardner
goes to the-
Hotel, or the Gardner?
Oh, no. This was, you know where Henry Habiger lived?
Yeah,
Okay, it was the next lot over, it was where,
Oh, I'll be darned. South of Henry Hobbinger's?
yeah.
You're close
Okay.
to Schatz's.
Yeah. Before that little.
Sauergard's had,
Uh-huh.
had the Havinger house.
Okay.
And we lived lived in that other place. It was just one little long building.
I'll be darned.
I don't remember anything about it that much, but it was a long building. And
So she came out, Grandma came out.
Grandma came out, stayed and took care
For
of
a
us.
year or?
That
through the
whole
school year?
winter, that whole winter.
I'll be darned.
She tried to teach me to crochet, and I swore up and down I'd never learn to crochet because I didn't learn to crochet. And then Grandma died after that, and I thought sure I'd never learn to crochet, but I did.
I'll be darned.
But
Well, now, what would they do with Ralph and Valerie when they were on the route?
well, Ralph and Valerie were in town with us.
Oh, okay. Okay.
We had all the kids in there. They
Oh,
were,
so then they were grade school too then? Or?
no, they weren't that. They were younger than
They
I
were-
was. And I
okay.
was only in the first grade.
Okay, that's right. So they were preschool age. then.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now that's making sense.
So that was
What about politics? Did Grandpa ever get involved in any? Is he on the school board or
oh
on the county,
yeah,
county commissioners? And,
yeah, he was on the school board. It's in the Slope Saga.
Oh, okay.
If do you have Folk
I've
there?
got one. You
Well,
got.
you got one.
I'll
You look
say.
in there, and it tells. There's in the Dover News and in the Brentrup deal too. Tells about it, and he was he was on the school board, and he was well, he took all the food out to the people that needed food that got food from the county. This is after that I remember him doing, and when after the county started dealing out food, then he would take it out to different people.
The county dealt out food. Now this is during the Depression.
Yeah.
Okay.
It had to be during the Depression because there just wasn't anything there to grow. You couldn't grow anything.
Uh-huh.
There
Now-
wasn't any rain, there wasn't any.
What happened to the homestead, or what happened during the Depression? I mean, as far as our family history is concerned.
Well, it got pretty damn skinny, I'll tell you that. Well, we never suffered from hunger, like I said, because Dad always saw to it that we had something. That if they told him he couldn't, when he had owed money to one of these outfits on the cattle or something, he'd say, nope, he says, that one's for mine, for Butch and for my family. He didn't let them get by with he wasn't going to let them take the food out of the kids' mouth, that was it. But then we couldn't raise potatoes or anything. Definitely he'd still take in his grain every year, but it was left over from the other years. We didn't sell it that bad.
So he had granary where's the granary over here
The
somewhere?
granary here, but
Okay.
we didn't have a lot of grain either.
Because you raised most of the
And it
grain
was
that
dried
you raised,
out.
you fed, right?
And during the dirty 30s, the grasshoppers came in and ate everything. We got out of church on Sunday at 10 o'clock, after 10 o'clock mass. And when we stepped out, you could see this cloud. It was a black cloud flying above. And it was the grasshoppers. We beat it home. The kids got the horses ready while Dad had something to eat. They went out to the field, and on 10 acres, before they got the binder down to the middle of there wasn't anything left in the middle of the field.
That
And
fast.
they ate fence posts. You just can't imagine what it was like.
Wow.
The main joke was that the WPA guys would lean on their shovel, the grasshoppers did it off, and
The shovel handle would go up through there. Oh my God.
you know, they had to have humor, or they couldn't have took it.
Yeah, that's right.
It was just
So,
And the dirt, when the dirt would blow, we had a fence that was probably about this far from the window, that had fence posts where they put the straw in the wintertime to kind of cut the cold air.
mhm.
And you couldn't see those fence posts for the dust. You set the table, you put the plates on upside down. Because otherwise you'd have a dish full of dirt before you
Wow,
got
before you get the food on it.
the food on it. And it was wicked. It really was.
Somebody told me that there was places that the dirt was so high that the cattle could walk over the fence. I mean,
Well,
it buried the fences.
The thistles blew up against the fences.
Uh-huh.
The dirt blew up over the top of the thistles, and so they ended up over the fence.
Oh,
The dirt was over the fence. It was not pleasant, that's for sure.
How many years did it last?
Well, I can't tell you that, because I don't have the,
You were teenager, right?
yeah, well, yeah,
Okay, yeah. You'd have been about 13?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't out of school yet.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
in '36, Dad and I, Mom, Dad and I went to Minnesota to visit because we didn't have anything to do. They had to sell off all the cattle. When at the same time, there was a tuberculosis scare. Well, that was when they started this tuberculosis on the cattle.
A what?
The testing of the cattle for tuberculosis.
Oh, tuberculosis, okay.
Tuberculosis.
And they had, the government killed all the cattle that had TB. They tested it. And they couldn't, you couldn't use the meat, it was buried. All these animals were buried. And so one guy was kind of calling out Dad's, and he says, there's another one here someplace. He says, oh, he says, that's that condemned son of a bitch. It just struck us again so funny because it was condemned. That was what they called them. They were condemned cows.
Yeah.
That was-
Condemned son of a bitch.
yeah.
Sound like a Brentrup joke.
So, during the Depression, there was no crops that could be raised. The cattle were sold off.
Yeah.
How about the milk cows? Did you keep
We
those?
had the few milk cows, yeah, and we had sold the sheep off. We went to
You sold the
Minnesota.
sheep off?
Oh yeah, the
Okay.
sheep were sold off too, and we went to Minnesota. We came back and it had rained a little bit while we were gone, and Dad and I hauled in 4 loads of Russian thistles. That was all the hay we got that year.
Wow.
And the grass was just, the cattle and everything had eaten it down to where it was just bare ground. That was why the dirt blew so bad.
How about the chickens? Were you able to keep
Oh
them?
yeah, we could keep the chickens. They can pretty much make out on them.
Did you keep the chickens over the winter normally?
Oh yes.
Okay. So you didn't get new little baby chicks in the spring?
Oh yeah, you
okay.
got new
You got-
chicks too, but
okay.
You kept the old ones in there
Okay.
for eggs.
Uh-huh.
As long as you could, and then when they molded, well, you didn't get any eggs from them, but with Mom feeding them, the potato peelings and anything that, anything that had skins or anything like that, why, everything was put into along with the grain and cooked up. And kept them laying come Lent. I always had them laying by
So
Lent.
you ate a lot of eggs then during Lent?
Yeah.
That's great.
We never sold any. I never remember my folks ever selling eggs.
So probably by the end of the Depression, you had a couple of milk cows and some chickens.
Yeah.
And that was it. How did you rebuild it? How did, after?
Oh, I don't know, it took time, yeah, but I don't remember too much about that either, because, I think that Dad had gone ahead and gotten more from cattle from shots and had them, because I was herding cattle before I left for NYA school.
For what high school?
NYA school.
Oh, okay.
Your mother went there too.
At Model High?
At Dickinson.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't at Model High.
Okay.
It was
What's NYA school?
National Youth
School?
School that they were supposed to teach us how to handle things. We would have a 1 week when we'd be the assistant cook, and then 1 week when we'd be the cook, 1 week when we'd be the assistant one to do the washing and that, and then another. We sewed, we made doctors' outfits for doctors if they ever found doctors big enough to fit those. They were so long we couldn't hardly manage them. We made pajamas, and I never saw a bunch of kids that could follow a pair of pajamas like some of those gals could. But I knew how to sew, and so that worked pretty good for me. And then we took care of the WPA workers' children. One of our shifts was to take care of the WPA women's children and see to it that they got food and exercise, learned how to play and that kind of stuff. But it was quite a deal.
So where did you guys stay there? Did you do dormitories or?
No, this was in a house with quite a few rooms in. And I don't remember what street it was on anymore, but it was just this one house, and there was, I don't remember how many girls, it was probably 12 or 14. You could ask your mother about that.
Okay, yeah.
She'd remember better because she went there longer than I did. I quit in March so I could be home for Easter, and then I left Easter Monday to go to California to be married.
Oh.
See, I was married in California.
I'll be darned. Okay, is there anything else from the homestead up until you met Wilford?
Well, there was only that one that he was telling about with
Oh,
Dad and I don't know what year it was when they had that terrible flu season, and all of the Schaff's family died. All of his family died. They lived in a stone house about, I think, probably 3 miles from our place, and then everybody was getting the flu, so Dad and him, they would go around to all of the places and see to it that they had that the cattle got fed and milked and that, and see if they needed food or if they needed somebody buried, because they were just buried. There weren't times for funerals and that, because everybody was so sick that they just simply buried people. And then they'd go around and get the milk and do the milking and everything for all of these that couldn't do it, and see to it that they got some food.
Do you know what year that was?
No, I don't. That I don't know.
It would have been the flu epidemic?
The flu epidemic, yeah.
1919 or 1916 or whatever it is?
I don't remember what year it was at all. Those kind of things never entered me.
We could probably look that up
Was it
Yeah.
sometime you remember them when they were doing that?
No.
Okay.
I don't. This was before my time.
Okay.
So it could have been that
Could have been that
Yeah.
1919
Yeah.
one then.
It was before I
or 16 or whatever it is, because I know that there's one of the Narums lost a child in that flu epidemic, and I could probably go out to that Lebanon Lutheran Cemetery there at Amadon and find out what year that was. I think it's probably 16 or.
Well,
somewhere
I'll
there.
bet you'll find
Yeah,
it in
it's-
that book,
yeah,
because
yeah.
in that book too, you'll find an awful lot of that
Yeah.
information in there.
Okay.
And there's a lot of information in that book. But Old Shaw was He was the one that sort of instigated the thing, but none of us got the flu. Well, the good Lord took care of them because they were being neighborly or what, I don't know, but that was...
Something that I've got in here from when I talked to you with Andrea was about some of the things that you raised in the garden, what kind of vegetables and whatnot, and I think we also had in here the various different things that you raised: guinea hens, chickens, ducks,
Oh,
turkeys,
we had a lot of
geese.
that kind of stuff.
Just
We had goats, we had chicken, we had turkeys, we had guineas, we had ducks, we had geese, we had...
So you tried everything somewhere along the line, huh?
Ford had his horses, he had his Shetland, and then Little Willie was his the colt from the Shetland, and Spitball Sue was one of his, Flossie was one of his.
So
horses.
Dad, how old was Dad when he had those horses?
Oh, he's had them for, he must have been about 16 when he, or less, when he started having the horses.
Ah.
But we all rode and everything when we were young. We weren't, oh, hell, I can't remember when I first rode. It seemed like I rode all my life.
Yeah.
I also have something in here about Grandma selling turkeys for Thanksgiving to earn her Christmas money.
Oh yeah, she always just picked and sold the turkeys,
Uh-huh.
and that was.
How much you selling for?
I don't know.
Oh, she
I
didn't
never did know. She'd pick them and draw them, and they were packed in wooden crates, and then we'd take them up to Dickinson. This was always after it turned cold enough so that they would cool good at night before they packed them. They'd take them up to Dickinson and sell them, and then that was what we got winter clothes with and that kind of stuff. One year she bought Grace a wine color dress with a green stripe and gold beads down the side. Gertrude's was a plaid, and she got a hat to match. And I got a blue velvet with panties to match with blue velvet. I don't remember what the boys got. That's the
It was probably boring.
They probably got shells or something, you know.
But, you know, no, we raised a lot of different things in the garden. We had, of course, we had currants and grapes, or currants and what was the white ones? Gooseberries,
Oh, okay.
rhubarb.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot of rhubarb.
Did you guys make horseradish?
Oh yes, we
The-
made horseradish.
I was out working for Richard Miller on the homestead out there, and his wife was making horseradish that they said was the original stuff that was out there when their dad rolled in. So it's all stuff that you guys had done. So that stuff is still out there. I'll bet it is. And it was good eating.
What you do is you just take the roots and then they'll come up again. And so what you see in the stores now, lots of times they'll say horseradish roots, but they're great big clumsy things, and that isn't what we use so much as the finer ones. And then I used to make it in Mobridge a long time.
We had a whole bunch of the backyard mowers.
Yeah.
That was good
Good
stuff.
stuff.
So you dig it up and then break off a chunk of the root, stick the rest of it back in the ground, and
Not necessarily, because there's enough root left in the ground to come up again.
oh really?
Oh yeah, they were very, very prolific.
Oh,
Whatever
they
you
are.
want to call. Yeah.
Did horseradish make it through the 30s?
Oh heavens, yes.
Yeah.
That stuff you couldn't kill. It was very impossible to kill.
Canadian thistles, you can't
Yeah.
get that damn stuff.
Yeah.
Now, so the horseradish then, you would dig it up and then just what, wash it?
You peel it.
Okay,
It's got a peeling on thicker
Okay.
than a carrot.
okay.
You need to take the peeling off, and then we used to have to grate it by hand in those days, and that was a real
Grind.
tearful,
Oh,
real tearful
tearful
deal.
experience.
You didn't dare grind it in the meat grinders, because the meat grinders, the metal taste from the meat grinders would
Okay.
make it taste bad, and it would be metal.
So it'd take on that metallic taste right away,
Yeah.
huh? Wow.
So you had to grate it with a grater. That was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I use the blender now.
Yeah.
What was the strangest thing that happened out there? You know, I mean, funny, where you guys got a kick out of her, you know, something.
Oh, there was a lot of things.
uh,
We had to be fight about something funny and things, or you never made it through it.
Yeah.
But one of the things was when Ralph, I don't know whether it was Ralph or Valerie that had the motorcycle that came home with it, but I think it was Ralph. This was before I was left home anyhow. And he had they came with the motorcycle, and J.C. got on it, and Hubert and Gertrude were standing on the porch watching, and I was a little ways away, and he got on it and went down the hill, and he went down and jumped the fence into that draw down there. And Valerie says, or Ralph says, Hubert says, I died if you I'd laughed if you died. It looked so funny. Another time, we had an old ram, an old sheep buck, that he was an ornery son of a gun. He was always taking after somebody. J.C. got mad at him, and he clobbered him over the head with a hammer. Didn't faze the thing a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Another time we had one of them staked out, and he had to take him in. Hubert had to take him into the corral at night, and he comes past it was half dark, you know, and he comes past riding the dadgum thing. We used to have a lot of fun with it. Stand up and ride on horseback. Stand up and roam and race, have two horses and 1 foot on each horse.
Really? You guys are that good?
Oh, heck yes.
Oh, we are.
We did do a lot of weird things for
Did you do any
kids.
skiing, Mom?
Huh?
Did you do any skiing?
Well, just behind the horse, we put on the skis. One year, Dad got skis for from somewhere, and so we'd take a horse and rope and get on the skis and take off on the horse with it pulling by a rope. Go heading across prairie. One year, all we got for Christmas was a toboggan Dad made. And that was quite a thrill. We used to have a lot of fun with that.
What hill would you go down?
Well, we'd go down the one at the South Place, and there was plenty of hills around. On the South Place there, I got gypped out of one of them because I had to babysit Gertrude Miller.
Oh, heck.
That was.
How did Dad lose his eye? I've heard about 3 stories.
All right, which ones did you hear?
Well, the corn cob, I heard that, they used to make darts out of corn cob beetles, and then they'd take chicken feathers around the end of it, and they'd put a nail on the end of it, and then they would throw it and stick it in the barn or whatever it is, and I heard that story. And then I heard a horse kicked something up and got in his eye, and then there was another story about him falling off a horse or something, and
Oh, the falling off the horse wasn't connected with his eye, though.
oh, okay.
That one, he was out for a day when he fell off the horse that time.
Tell us the story of that.
Well, he was coming home from someplace and his horse shied and knocked him off. He got back on the horse, came into the yard and went out, the kids heard him coming into the yard and out to the barn, and they went out. He didn't come in, so they went out, and here he was out in the barn just piling hay after hay after hay in the manger. And they got a hold of, I don't know whether Dad came or what, and he took him over to Ma's, and he must have had a concussion, I would say, because he was out for a day or something like that. But he never knew anything about it. Another time he got run over with a disc.
Boy,
He had problems.
Oh.
Why did he lose his eye?
He fell down between the disc and the horses. And the disc hit a stone and bounced over him, so he didn't get hurt, but
wow.
God, he could have.
Okay, I'm at tape end.
But the
Go ahead.
dark deal was the one that happened. The one that I heard was the one that they told Dad was that they were unloading corn and the wind put back a stalk of corn and put it in his eye.
Okay.
That was
That's what my
that
dad
was what I
always told
thought
me.
until just that's what I thought until just not too long ago. I never knew the real story of it.
And what's the real story?
The real story is that the JC threw a dart and it worked in the eye,
Oh, okay.
and
So-
it was
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it was a pure accident, but
Yeah.
then that
Horseplay.
Yeah.
horseplay
Yeah.
is
Oh,
as
you
well.
darn.
You had to have something to live around, you
Uh-huh.
know, and
He
that
very
was-
about to the end of his
Yep,
thing.
it says it tape end, so we'll try another one, huh?
Okay.
Okay.